Please remain standing as Farzad Nourian, Senior Regional Director of Mission and Ministry at Advent Health, offers our invocation.
Dear Lord God, we pause for a moment this evening to ask for a sense of your presence to be with us and to acknowledge you. Dear Father, please protect and bless our drivers tonight, our crew members, our officials, our fans, and our family. And Father, please protect and bless our law enforcement, our men and women in the military. For these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
And here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from Orlando, Florida, Katina Mack.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it.
Right, a race, just a race. Okay. About time we had just a race.
No kidding, that's why I was confused. Actually, I've been actually going to race.
Gotcha, K-Mac.
Test 1, 2, DW's on.
Hello, testing. You got me?
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, I hear you.
Highlight the racing cars.
Hey.
Copy.
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 Xerox. Xerox.
Mike, you have any?
I think I'm going to...
the time that, for me, Speed Weeks really started. You had qualifying in the Clash last weekend, but now you're in the car every day until the Daytona 500. You don't have a vacation in between. So I like this night. I think these guys are going to show us what it's all about. Hopefully they have a great race.
Yeah, I've always loved these races, but I also learned that you're never too old to have butterflies. And Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, the senior drivers, they're as anxious as the young guys. But they're going to handle this race differently. And I'm very eager to see how Tyler Reddick, how William Byron and Daniel Hemrick handle the pressure early on.
I tell you what else makes it interesting. I studied the two lineups, and of all the multi-car organizations, not a single organization in either duel has more than two drivers. We talk about drivers working with each other. There's not a lot of teammates in each of the duel that can work with each other.
But we said this is the moment. The window neck goes up, the steering wheel goes in, the helmet goes on, the gloves are on. This is the time that drivers are in their element and the nerves go away.
Yeah, it really is. When you start the engines up, after, to me, all day long leading up to this race, you start the engine up, you got your helmet on, you're talking to the spotter, the crew chief. It kind of goes back to like where you want to be. It's kind of a lot of hype getting to this point. Now you get in and you feel comfortable.
When the window neck goes up, everything goes quiet. Even when the engine starts, the zone. Lock on. Let's go.
It goes quiet in here, too, when the window neck goes up, because we've all been waiting a very long time. It's the first points race of the season. Of course, we will know who is going to start where in the Daytona 500 by the end of the night. Let's go trackside for the command.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, representing Gander RV, Marcus Lemonis.
Let's get on your feet. I can't hear you. Celebrate our flag, our freedom in our country. Drivers, start your engines.
It's like music to my ears right there. Engines are fired. We're ready to go. We're going to be in the studio all night long bringing you breaks, but right now it's time to go racing. On the call, the Hall of Famers, Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, and here's Mike Joy. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Shannon, and hi, everybody. I think the word, at least for this first race, is agenda. What is your agenda? Some drivers just want to see if their cars will handle. Some want to protect their Daytona 500 car. Some really want to earn a top 10 start in this race. Some just want to be able to start the race as three drivers try to race their way in. So a lot of different agendas, Jeff.
There are, Mike, and you talked about handling. Well, we have really cool conditions here tonight. Nothing like what we're going to see on Sunday for the Daytona 500, but I think that might give these drivers a little bit of a false sense of security. We've seen how unstable these cars have been in the draft, but those cool conditions are going to make the cars grip really well, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see drivers be more aggressive, and boy, we know what's happened already down here when they've been aggressive.
Certainly. Risk versus reward, Darrell.
Yeah, I think certainly you don't want to jeopardize your car. This is your 500 car. This is the best piece that the guys could put together for you to bring down here. But you want to dot some I's and cross some T's too. You want to get a pit stop in there with your crew and be sure they're on their game. You want to check fuel mileage, tire wear, track position. Who's a good guy for me to draft with? Maybe find a drafting partner. So there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions to be answered, and they'll be answered when this race is over with.
Remember, these cars have been impounded ever since qualifying on Sunday. Now, they'll fire them up and they'll roll to set the lineup for the Daytona 500.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Got for him.
Yeah, me too, man. It's a long time waiting for this moment, huh?
Yes, sir. Come to you soon.
Check, check. Larry Max here.
Good, good. I'm good to go, man.
And Larry, you sound like you're right next door.
I'm ready to turn that, but I don't know how.
It's got that tricked up piece there, you know. Be careful. The whole thing might cave in. What are we looking at?
Larry. That's for me to see Larry so we can get to him.
Well, where is he?
He's a little off to the right. Left. Oh, was that Shaw? Yeah.
Oh, there's, yeah. He's in the studio.
Hey,
Why? No.
hey, Barry. Just one question to Brad. Yeah. I'm going to try. I put the word calculate in my question. I thought that would get
60 laps, 150 miles, and 2 races.
We'll set the starting lineup for Sunday.
Now when they drop that green flag, it's like a red flag in front of a bull.
Here they come to begin the duel at Daytona.
The sparks are going to fly.
heavy damage to 48 and Jimmy Johnson.
You are kidding me?
Sparks fly in Daytona. Welcome to the Gander RV Duel at Daytona on FS1. 2 60-lap races to set the lineup and the field for Sunday's Daytona 500 on Fox. Let's have a look at the Gander RV starting grid. Daytona 500 pole sitter William Byron with his Hendrick teammate Jimmy Johnson have the front row for this one. Rookie Daniel Hemrick, past champ Martin Truex Jr. Brad Keselowski is the fastest Ford in this field. He'll roll off 5th. Next to Paul Menard in another Ford. Kyle Busch in a Toyota. Kevin Harvick in a Ford make up the 4th row. Tyler Reddick is guaranteed in on speed. He'll try to race in for a better starting spot there with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Daniel Suarez, Chris Buescher, all of these cars guaranteed to be in the Daytona 500, along with Ryan Newman, new to the Roush team. Ryan Truex must race his way in. Rookie Ryan Preece and Matt DiBenedetto with the new team at Toyota. Bubba Wallace and rookie Matt Tifft, new to Front Row Motorsports. Parker Kligerman must race his way in, along with Landon Castle and Cody Ware, the 21 drivers in this first duel. Well, the last time they were on track with the green flag waving was in the clash at Daytona, and it came down to this with rain on the way. Paul Menard, Jimmy Johnson get together and pile up.
Clear.
17 of 20 cars.
High, they're up high. Stay in the middle. Come on down.
Once the crash scene cleared, the rains came. Jimmy Johnson was the winner. Paul Menard's car all torn up. So in this head-to-head duel among the two front runners in the clash, who finishes higher?
Well, you know what? It never fails, Mike. These two guys, I bet you, end up racing each other tonight. And I guarantee you Jimmy Johnson's going to treat Paul Menard with a little bit more care tonight than he did in the clash. So I think tonight they take care of each other, and we won't see what we saw in the clash.
Well, and I know that Paul Menard doesn't have a teammate in this race, but he definitely has plenty of Ford teammates, and look how good they've worked together through speed weeks and in the past on these types of tracks to play out and help them get to victory lane. All right, let's dial up one of the best out there, Brad Keselowski. Hey, Brad K, this is Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Man, it's going good. We're excited about this race, and you know, this is such a unique event. It offers points, and it also helps you for your starting position for the 500. But we've already seen multi-car wrecks this week, so I'm just curious, how do you calculate when the move is worth the risk?
Well, the points is a big deal. You're right. I think with the stages and all that, I want the points, but I also want the win. This is one of those races we haven't won, and I feel like we've got a car to do it today with the Discount Tire Ford Mustang, and want to try to capitalize on it. But you know, it's a little harder, Jeff, as you know, to make moves in this race with the field being smaller, and you have to be super calculated, and you got to have a lot of help. So that all factors in. But if I got a chance to win, I can assure you I'm going to take it.
All right, well, have a great one. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Brad Keselowski will roll off 5th. Let's get late-breaking stories from pit road, beginning with Matt Yoakum.
Mike Martin Truex Jr. surprised even himself, turning in the 7th fastest time. Now he's 4th on the grid. Truex told me a few moments ago that there's a calmness here on the grid, somewhat unique for a duel. He's hoping that translates into a lot of smart decisions on the racetrack. His agenda, simple. Stay at the front, score the trophy, and roll off 3rd for the Great American Race. Regan?
Matt, I asked Daniel Suarez right before he got ready to get into his race car, what is the biggest difference going from Joe Gibbs Racing to Stuart Haas Racing so far been? He said there's a lot more Fords on the racetrack. He's going to look for those Fords to partner up with them and find his way from his 11th starting position further to the front later on tonight. Larry Mack?
Yeah, Regan, I love these races. They are very short. There's no stages, it's just flat out racing. But what's going to be fun is what goes on pit road. You have to make at least one pit stop. When you make that stop, that is the question. Now let's take a look at our race analysis. We're going to go for 60 laps, 150 miles. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. And look at this closely. This is important. The fuel window, Mike, 46 to 48 laps.
Well, that means they can stop early, they can stop late, they can stop in the middle. They have lots of choices, lots of agendas again.
Well, I like that, and that's something I think we'll see play out here. Some guys may decide to come in 10, 15 laps, get their fuel, and be done for the night.
This race used to be 125 miles until Terry Labonte won it driving for Junior Johnson without a fuel stop. NASCAR's response? Lengthen the race to 150.
That'll fix that.
So they would have to stop. 60 degrees. Light breeze out of the northeast. Track temp just about the same as ambient.
Yeah, that gives the track a lot of grip. It's like anything you do. The tires don't get as hot. The car doesn't get as hot. The track isn't hot. It didn't slick. I think we're going to see some pretty aggressive racing in this race.
Well, now, how do we learn about these agendas? We listen in. Here's Paul Menard's team.
I think the outside is probably going to be strong again. I would agree. I don't really see a reason why it wouldn't be, I guess. The only way the bottom works is if guys get down there. Just can't get anybody down there.
The top lane just dominated, and then everyone got nervous with about 15 to go because they couldn't do anything in the top, and then the bottom filled up, and then the bottom started to come forward. So that's what.
Yeah, that's great information right from the team and the driver, and that communication between the spotter. I think one thing that's changed things a little bit this year is the width of that spoiler, and it's made that bottom groove a little bit more difficult to form up and move forward as what we've seen in the past.
My experience has been wherever the fast guys go, that's where the groove is. Up high or down low. When that fast guy goes there, that's where you are.
William Byron, last year's Sunoco Rookie of the Year. This year's Daytona 500 pole sitter will lead them to green as the pace car hits pit road. 21 cars looking to line up for the 500 based on the results of this race. We're under green.
There you go. Perfect. They are still double wide. 3/4 back. 1 back. The 19 is giving the 48 the best boost. You're clear by 1. They are double wide. You're clear. He is clear. You and the 48 are clear.
That is Tab Boyd, William Byron's spotter, coaching his driver around here to lead lap 1.
Well, we saw in the clash on Sunday how well teams work together, especially those Ford teams that coordinate how to move from one lane to the other to get that line formed up, and we just saw that executed pretty well by young William Byron from the pole.
Yeah, I think right now William Byron is happy. I think Chad Canales is happy because he's got his teammate behind him, and they're not in harm's way right now. Let's see how long that lasts.
Well, let's explain the agenda for the 24. William Byron qualified on the pole for the Daytona 500. All he needs to do is keep this car in one piece tonight and through practice Friday and Saturday to hold on to that pole position. But if he gets caught up in a scrum or a scrape and has to go to a backup car, he would lose the pole.
No, but I think it's really important to get out there and get some laps, get some confidence. You know, in that race on Sunday, you're going to have to be in these positions in order to know how to handle them and what the car is doing and execution of getting on and off pit road, all these different things. The draft, as we saw in that clash on Sunday, you've got to be able to manufacture a move or get a run on a car to make that pass for the lead.
I'm a little bit concerned about, it's so cool out tonight. We're going to race on Sunday afternoon. It's supposed to be 80 degrees. You can make bad decisions based on what your car is doing tonight for that race on Sunday. So you got to be careful with that.
Daniel Hemrick, 10th, first on the inside, but losing touch with the leaders.
Well, and some good cars. You're led by Daniel Hemrick, but we've got one of the fastest cars out there right behind him, Brad Keselowski. Then you got Kyle Busch behind him, and then the 3 of Austin Dillon, and they the 31 of Reddick having a very difficult time. Look how quick they're trying to find a gap.
Whoa, Keselowski in the 2 went up into a hole that was not there.
Oh, the half a hole.
Kyle Busch had to pedal it to make room for Keselowski.
DW was talking about the difference between racing tonight in the nighttime and racing Sunday in the heat of the day. The other big difference, this is qualifying setups. This was an impound race. They were not able to work on these cars. They will be able to work on them for the next 2 days getting ready for the 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, good point, Larry. You know, that's one of the things you really had to deal with was a car that was fast, knowing that you're going to have to start this qualifying race the way you qualified it.
Got one taker. Now that was pretty interesting move right there by Daniel Suarez. That was a one-car pass. He found a way, and we saw him do something like this also in the clash where he got a run, and he came up behind Tyler Reddick, and right as he went into the corner, he was able to shortcut that corner and slide up in front of him. He'll be looking for those opportunities because right now there's no way you're going to form an inside lane until you get 6 or 7 cars that are down there.
Now the results of this race determine the inside lane on the Daytona 500 starting grid. So every pass you make, if you hold that spot to the finish, moves you up 1 row on the starting grid.
Yeah, I think one thing about the Suarez pass we just saw, Reddick was falling back a little bit. There was a big gap between he and the car in front of him, so that gave Suarez an opportunity to make that pass, slide up in front of Reddick, and continue on. So you got to have a place to go when you get down there. You got to have a place to slide in.
21 cars started. Landon Castle and Cody Ware have lost the draft. So it's a 19-car freight train. William Byron the engine, Daniel Hemrick the caboose.
And again, Mike, I just think it's the fastest car. We know that William Byron has a fast car. He's on the pole. And I think as long as he decides he wants to run the high line, everybody's going to follow him. I think if he dropped to the bottom, everybody'd follow him to the bottom because he has the fastest car.
And he has crew chief Chad Knaus, who spent 7 championship years with Jimmy Johnson, who right now is right in Byron's tire tracks. Crew chief swap at Hendrick Motorsports puts the veteran 7-time champ crew chief with last year's Rookie of the Year driver, while Jimmy Johnson now teamed with Kevin Mendering.
How ironic is this one, too? we knew we'd be seeing this. I don't know if we thought we'd be seeing it this early in Speed Weeks, but I want to point out one other thing on our timing and scoring. Did you see how fast they were, Darrell, going into turn 1 that last time?
Oh
this
God.
Single file line, when you have this many cars lined up in the draft, 200 miles per hour going into turn 1.
Well, you know, one thing I think if I'm Jimmy Johnson, I'm pretty happy because I'm following my teammate, and I look in my mirror and Martin Truex Jr. is behind me. But if I look another car back and I see that 21, I'd be a little bit worried if he got up behind me.
Ryan Preece is a rookie. He replaced A.J. Allmendinger at JTG Doherty Racing for 2019. You see his head moving around from our Fox visor cam. Look in the mirror. Look up the straightaway ahead of him. He said, since age 3, I knew I wanted to be a racer. I hung out in the garage watching my dad, Jeff Preece, work on his late model and street stock. His grandfather, Bob Judkins, one of the greatest builders of modifieds in New England history. Yeah, this kid was born to race.
Now, he's just not moving his head up and down. That's how much you have to look in your rearview mirror to try to figure out what that car is doing behind you. All the momentum that you get to make a pass comes from that push behind you, whether it's one car or a stack of cars that are in line behind.
And listen, you can hear him let out the throttle. He's happy where he is. He doesn't want to run up on the back of the car in front of him, so he's lifting out the throttle quite a bit. And I'm surprised how quickly that engine responds.
And by the way, already having a great speed weeks. I think he won the modified race while we had those couple days off in between the Clash and here in the duels.
He's been racing down in New Smyrna. Now that's over. 3 drivers are trying to race their way in. It's a complicated system, part of the NASCAR charter system, where 36 teams, 18 in each race, are guaranteed to be in the 500. Right now, the leading open car, NASCAR calls it, cars that are not locked into the field, is Ryan Truex in this Tommy Baldwin prepared number 71.
Pretty comfortable right now, Mike, running along an ace spot right behind Boucher there. Not a bad place for him to be at this point.
You know the Truex name. His older brother Martin has been a champion of this series. And his father and uncle both raced modifieds and Busch North cars for years.
I think the Truex family is happy and proud right now. That's a great position for him to be in. I think it's just going to come all down to execution. We know there's going to be a stop. We don't know if it's going to be under green, but if it happens under green, executing on pit road, the pit stop and off pit road.
Larry, it's going to be a one-stop race. When does this fuel window open?
Well, it's open now, Mike, and that may be one reason they're content to run single file. That makes it a lot easier to get on pit road. I think you're going to see a mixed bag. I talked to Chad Canals, crew chief for William Byron. He said he'd rather pit late, but he said he thinks the competition will dictate once that window opens, probably over the next 2 to 3 laps. I think you're going to see maybe fuel only, maybe right sides, but I think fuel only is the best way to go.
And I believe Truex is coming this time.
Got a taker. Here he comes. That's Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 to pit road. Only guy. Woo.
Oh, Mr. Lonely.
That's a little treacherous, I might say.
Yeah, but the advantage that he has is he came by himself, carried a ton of speed onto pit road. That was really well done for Martin Truex Jr. getting to pit road.
You see what's going on here, don't you?
They're all coming.
No, I'm talking about that 21 behind him, 48.
Oh.
I just want to keep an eye on that, just in case.
Fuel only for Truex, who moves from the shuttered Furniture Row Racing now to Joe Gibbs Racing, bringing crew chief Cole Pern with him.
And Mike and Jeff, look, Jimmy Johnson and Paul Menard, they've talked it out, and that was a racing incident. But anyway, it was a racing incident.
Well, I really expected William Byron, Jimmy Johnson to come to pit road since they went to that bottom lane, but probably a few more laps.
5 cars stayed out. Regan.
Daniel Suarez hits pit road in the 41 car for the first time this season. He's happy with the race car right now. Tonight it's all about fun. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he wants to get his car off the splitter, Matt.
And the 18 took on fuel. He's already away. Most teams up and down pit road are taking fuel. Big wave of cars here on this run.
Kevin Harvick did not appear to me to be stopped for very long. Wondering, Larry, do you need a full can of gas? How much gas do you need to take to make it to the finish here?
Mike, you only really needed about 3 or 4 seconds of fuel because you're only 10 laps shy of making it without stopping.
Matt Tifft too fast on pit road. His number 36 will do a pass-through penalty.
And I'm not surprised with just fuel only because these are cool conditions. Handling should not be an issue. Even though they weren't, these cars were in qualifying condition, they were able to make just enough adjustments to, I think, dial these cars in fairly close.
So still on the racetrack, all Chevrolets. William Byron, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, Chris Buescher's 37. Last year's Daytona 500 runner-up, Bubba Wallace, and Richard Petty's 43, and Ryan Preece.
I really listen, Bubba Wallace, remember what? He was a star of the show last year down here. He had a great car, and he's staying out. I tell you, keep an eye on Bubba Wallace in that 43 car. He's good at Daytona.
14 of 60 laps complete. Last year, all but a couple of cars stopped at lap 11.
Come on back here, all clear. All clear. All right, come in here.
Is a pass through or a stop and go?
I thought it was pass through.
You can't do that. You can't fuel it under a penalty.
"16 laps complete. Landon Castle led the last one, but he has not yet made his pit stop. We mentioned Kevin Harvick was stopped only for a brief period, taking on Sunoco Race Fuel. He is now our leader, ahead of Paul Menard and Ricky Stenhouse. Bad night for Brad. Brad Keselowski got a penalty, we're told, for pitting out of the box. That, if that is the call, that is a one-lap penalty. And then when he came in to serve the penalty in a stop and go, he was speeding coming off pit road.
Ouch.
Well, remember what I told you, Mike. Tonight you try to work all those bugs out. Maybe his tach's not right. Maybe his lights aren't right. Get that worked out tonight before you get in a 500 on Sunday.
Here's the NASCAR officiating system.
Really?
Boy,
that's close.
I was going to say, I mean, I understand where that green line cuts across there, but that looks like it's cutting it a little bit close to me.
Pretty close.
And he's back, and the official one finger, one lap.
Yeah, you're not going to like this, Brad, but.
Matt Tifft had difficulty on his stop. So did the 31 of Tyler Reddick and the 47 of Ryan Preece. What do they have in common? They are all rookies in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and so this is their first race with the digital dash.
Yeah.
It's not used in the Xfinity or Truck Series.
Well, right now, Mike, what I'm seeing, who is that coming up here? That's Hemrick, right? What I'm seeing right now, look at the Fords. You got a Ford first, a Ford second, a Ford third. You got Truex in fourth. Then you got Suarez. Then you got Busch. So you got 4 Fords at the front right now, kind of doing their thing.
Well, and this is just a game of numbers right now. If you get that many cars working together, and they were able to also link up with Martin Truex Jr., who came by himself, and so you take those Fords as well as Martin Truex Jr., and they were out there for a couple more laps than the leaders like William Byron and Jimmy Johnson, and they were able to make up that time on track by drafting together as a group.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Byron, and I think that the second place car there with Byron and then Jimmy Johnson, they were
Busch,
way back, and they have been able to chase these leaders down.
You know, I'm really curious to go back to that penalty on the 2 of Brad Keselowski, because I didn't think that that's a penalty if the tail of the car is over that line. I thought it's the rear tires, so we're going to have to do a little bit of investigating on the details.
Yeah, and that green line, I mean, the way the car was positioned in the pit box, that green line looked odd to me. In my opinion, right here is where that 24 car needs to better be on his game. There's a lot of slicing and dicing and a little bit moving around right here, so we'll see.
Well, Larry McReynolds is not only our strategist, he's also our rules analyst. Larry on the 2.
Well, I wanted to make sure I got this one right, Mike. So I've been on the phone, the hotline with the NASCAR control tower, and his tires and wheels were in the box, but they actually put fuel in the car, had the fuel can engaged when the car was outside the box. That's the reason it was a 1-lap penalty, and that's why he had to come back, because he truly did not give the 1 lap.
So there's the fueler working behind that green line. Now the car rolls.
I guess.
See, the fueler was outside the box.
But is it that, Larry, or is it the nose of the car broke the plane and the fueler was still plugged in as he was exiting? I believe that was what the penalty is.
Yeah, anytime that car is outside the box, there can be no work whatsoever done, not fueling, not tightening lug nuts, not anything at all.
Yeah, back in the day when we come down the pit lane like that, the gas can man would catch the car about 2 away and run with it all the way to the end of pit road if he had to.
Comes Jimmy, half back, still out there, 18, nowhere to blend, still out there at the top.
Ooh, this is a little more action than I think the 24 William Byron was expecting. I knew that they were going to get out there and maybe try to lead some laps, but to get into the draft like this and take that kind of risk, you see William Byron close right to the rear bumper of Kyle Busch in that 18 car.
But I like this, Jeff, because the 48, Jimmy Johnson, gave Byron lots of room to move up, and then Byron backed up to the front bumper of Johnson, and then you saw how that helped shoot him forward right to the bumper of Kyle Busch. If this had been the last lap, they would have dived to the bottom and made a move.
And no doubt that's great experience for him to get.
And that guy sitting on that pit box, he obviously has a lot of confidence in that young man. So let him make those moves, stay out there, and try to get a good finish.
37 laps to go in dual race number 1.
Tell him to make sure he's got somewhere to go before he makes that move.
We'll make sure we have somewhere to go before we make that move. Learning for Sunday also. Doing good with it. Bottom, yep. 18 will be stuck. Very nice move. Staying with that 19 and clear. Jimmy is still double wide with the 18. Jimmy is still double wide on the bottom. He's getting drugged back. Oh, 18.
Look at those roof flaps. Those things are effective.
Sparks fly as Kyle Busch comes down pit road, flat tires on his Joe Gibbs Toyota that they will change. A lot of action here. Let's start at the front stretch and end up on the back stretch.
Well, William Byron gets a nice run through the tri-oval and gets to the inside of the 18 of Kyle Busch. Pretty aggressive move here. Side drafts a little bit, goes to the bottom, and his teammate Jimmy Johnson follows him through. Now, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, the 18 of Kyle Busch, side by side. You can see that side draft, the 18, gets him a run back. right there, they make contact, turns the 18 around.
You know, Jeff, it must be something going on with the nose and the tail of these cars. It looks so much like what happened Sunday with Jimmy Johnson and the 21 car Paul Menard. It's a very similar situation here.
Well, I think it's a little bit different situation. I mean, it looked to me like Jimmy's car definitely came up and got into him.
I agree.
I
agree.
I don't see really much of a move on the 18 car of coming down.
Yeah, just bad.
Dang it. I don't know what happened there. Damn it.
Obviously.
Matt?
And the 48 is in. The left side tire is going on. You heard Jimmy moments ago say that he just has no idea what happened there. 48 car looks good, though.
The 48 hit the 18. That's what happened.
Kyle Busch, who's had 3 wins in his duel, goes spinning down the back straightaway off Jimmy Johnson's bumper.
Guys at 18. I assume that's on me. Got to see the video, of course, but I honestly don't know what happened there. 10-4, man. I'll pass it along.
Okay. Welcome back to the Gander RV Duel on FS1. Kyle Busch comes off pit road after another stop. Good bit of damage to his car after this spin. Here's some more audio from Jimmy Johnson.
Please apologize for the 18. I assume that's on me. Got to see the video, of course, but I honestly don't know what happened there. 10-4, man. I'll pass it along.
So, Mike, the only thing I can think of, it's the same incident that happened Sunday. There's something about that 48 car that when it gets to the quarter panel of the car it's trying to pass, it turns right.
Well, here's Kyle Busch's response.
Tell him I don't want him to hear it. Use his my balls. That's twice. He's done the same thing in 10 races. Simple.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to think this is a little bit different than on Sunday. To me, this car, the 48 car, definitely turned right and made pretty significant contact with the left rear of that 18 car. It's not like it was just, air moving around the back and loosened them up.
You know, I agree, Jeff, but it's just odd to me that it's happened twice, and it's the same situation both times. Looks very, it's unusual looking to me.
Well, the concerning thing is that Jimmy feels like he doesn't really know what happened and what caused it.
Well, air does. I know air is, it can do that to you.
We're back under green, and here comes Ricky Stenhouse trying to get something going here on the outside with William Byron and Ryan Newman in the 6.
Really surprised that Byron is staying in the pack the way he is. And, I mean, he needs the experience. A young guy, he doesn't have a lot of experience. It's great for him. Just be careful. Remember what Chad said. Remember what Chad said.
Right there, William Byron gets to the left rear of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and gets him pretty loose. That might have been all the fun William Byron's ready to have here in this duel.
Goodness.
Boy. There is something about the way these Camaros move the air.
Well, and there's just no doubt these cars, you have to understand, you know, a year ago when NASCAR went to the rules that we have basically here at Daytona, that spoiler is really down low. These cars are sealed to the ground, and they are not very stable, especially when cars are around you.
Hey, watch that 96 right in the middle of all this. That's Parker Kligerman, and he has to race his way into the Daytona 500, and he's getting the job done. He's up to 8th place, but no help in the middle.
I have a feeling, Darrell, and you could probably back me up on this,
right there with Jimmy.
that I believe these cars must feel comfortable to these drivers. If William Byron is willing to take this much of a chance and Chad Knaus knows what's on the line here, he must be saying back to the team, hey, car's driving good. It's stuck to the racetrack.
I think, Jeff, what it is they know that kid needs experience. He needs to be in these situations to know what is going to happen in the race on Sunday.
Suarez in the 41 there made the move on Martin Truex, almost got into the 19 as he dropped to that middle groove.
Strong. 24 still inside, still inside. Still inside, you're in the middle.
That was too close. Tony Raines, Daniel Suarez
still
spotter.
Low,
You're hearing? How close was it?
Sparks flying.
Now we've seen Daniel Suarez. Look, he's going to go from the very top. Oh, just clears the rear bumper. Now, what's interesting is he got into the left rear of the back of Truex, but it didn't turn him. I wonder if the banking just was holding that car just enough where it didn't allow the car to turn like we've seen some other cars.
Yeah, well, we know that these cars are harder to drive on the straightaway than they are in the corners because they unload on the straightaway. So the rear of the car is lighter on the straightaway than it is when it's planted in the corner. So, but he may, I mean, watch this.
That's too close for comfort.
But watch, Suarez is going to hit that.
Boom.
He gets the 19 right in the left rear, but it doesn't affect the 19 much at all.
Great camera shot at 190 miles an hour.
I love seeing the hands of Martin Truex Jr. inside that 19 car working the wheel.
And you know, we see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up here in second place, and he has been a really, really aggressive restrictor plate racer over the last couple of years, and has had a fast car.
Now look at him backing up to the 21 of Paul Menard. I wonder if he's trying to make something happen to get a run on that 4 of Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick got the lead during, oh, and here goes Byron. He's had enough fun for one day, and who can blame him? Kevin Harvick got the lead during the pit stop sequence. How'd he do it, Larry?
Well, Mike, you asked me how many seconds of fuel, and I said 3 seconds, and that's exactly how long Kevin Harvick was stopped in his pit box, which was quite a bit quicker than anybody else. We also look at a rolling time on pit road, which is from entrance to exit, and he was quicker than about everybody else on just the overall time spent on pit road. That's the reason that 4 car of Kevin Harvick's out front.
Harvick, Stenhouse, Menard, 3 Fords at the front. Regan.
Guys, I talked to Ricky Stenhouse just a little while ago earlier today. Asked him what his plan for this duel was. He said he wants to win this race. He hasn't won enough since he's been in that 17 car. His plan tonight was to be very aggressive, put a show on for the fans. He's doing that so far.
He is, Regan. He's living up to what he said he's going to do.
Got a little more contact to show you. Watch Ryan Newman in the 6 and rookie Daniel Hemrick in the 8.
Oh, not enough room, brother.
Yeah, that's just Ryan Newman trying to get up to make the block on the 8 of Hemrick and just got there too late.
It's just not enough room. I mean, he's trying to squeeze on the outside and it's just not there. Nice. It's a good thought, but there just wasn't enough room for Hemrick to get down there. Look how out of shape the 6 of Ryan Newman got. Holy smoly, he hung on to it.
And some damage to that left front fender on Hemrick as well.
Newman new with Jack Roush and Hemrick, rookie driver for Richard Childress Racing. 50 years for RCR up in Welcome, North Carolina. So you'll see those gold painted cars to celebrate that anniversary. And you'll see him in close quarters, won't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing about these young drivers. They need this experience, Mike. They need this going into Sunday, the big race on Sunday. So you learn a lot tonight. You make some mistakes. You trial and error, and try not to do that on Sunday.
In the lead pack, hanging on to 6th there, Matt DiBenedetto in his new ride, the number 95 for Levine Family Motorsports. I think Matt took a ride with the Air Force Thunderbirds today. Now he's taking his own 200-mile-per-hour ride. Kyle Busch, after this spin, trying to battle back from 17th. "20 laps to go in the first duel. First of 2 to set the field for the 500 on Sunday. 3 Fords remain out in front. Here are tonight's Ford Performance track facts. The only win in this event since 2012 for Ford was Ryan Blaney last year, 2018. But Ford has gone on to win 4 of the last 8 Daytona 500s. Matt Kenseth is the last driver to win his duel and the 500 in the same year, 2012, driving a Ford.
Yeah, I noticed that the Ford car does have a little trash on his grill. I don't think when you're out front like this, I don't think it's a problem. It might actually be helping him. As long as he can stay in the lead, get that nice fresh air going through that radiator, I think he'll be fine.
Might actually help him a little bit.
I think it might.
A little less drag,
good.
little more
Jeff,
downforce.
The line around this racetrack all week for cars running in a draft has been right up against the wall. Why?
You know, Mike, I mean, it baffles me too. There's just something going on with the air and what these drivers prefer. Obviously, they like being up top there. It sort of blocks any kind of momentum or runs that you can get when everybody gets up top. We used to see this a lot with Dale Earnhardt Jr. He would do this at Talladega, and everybody would follow him. But right now, there's definitely something going on. I really believe it's in the rear of these cars with the extensions that are on the rear spoiler compared to a year ago that's causing that inside lane to just bog down and not be able to maintain the momentum that the top groove can.
Yeah, Mike, aero is so important on these cars, and they've done a few minor changes from last year, and it's made a huge difference in where these guys go want to run on the racetrack.
18 to go. I've been waiting since June to say this. It's time for a Fox NASCAR Crank It Up.
Single car start finish line right now. 18 cars been running the bottom. 2 foot off right here with 37 here now. Stay tight enough that you can do the slide jump on you. 10 in front of the field, the slow one on the bottom. 3 in front of the leaders, the 18 on the bottom there now. Still there. You're all clear. All clear. You're all clear. Watch the gap on the 43 there. Backing up to the 48. Gap of 1. Staying half in front of them.
$15 laps to go. Kevin Harvick still leading. Harvick's finished 4th, 3rd, and 2nd in his dual race the last 3 years. Pitched battle for the open cars trying to race their way in, and here they all are. Now Tyler Reddick, along with Parker Kligerman and Ryan Truex. One of those cars going to head home after tonight. Tyler Reddick, the fastest of them in qualifying, so he knows he'll be in the 500. It's just a matter of whether he races his way in or has to fall back on his qualifying time. So the first of these 3 to finish is in the 500. And then we'll see after race 2. Larry.
Mike, this is an interesting situation. No matter what with the 31 car of Tyler Reddick, he is in. The only way Parker Kligerman gets in that 96 car, he has to pass Reddick. Right now, though, Truex in the 71, he's a huge Reddick fan because if Reddick is the highest finisher in this duel of the open cars, Truex is automatically in. So there's a different scenario for all 3 of those drivers.
You know when we'll know when that battle has been decided? On the last lap, because that's when you got to make desperate moves.
And there's really not much they can do right now. I guarantee you, right now they're all 3 wide open, just using the car in front of them. But any little thing that happens in these closing laps will make that battle really interesting.
Now they are among the 16 cars on the lead lap. You saw William Byron, the 500 pole sitter, fall off the pace of that lead pack. He did not go to the garage. He's still on track and still on the lead lap in 16th position. 1 lap down are Daniel Hemrick, Kyle Busch, and Matt Tifft. Cody Ware is 2 laps back.
You know what, to 48, I don't know if he thought he had an opening, he was going to be able to pass somebody, but it didn't work out. He's going to be at the tail end of this long line right here when things all shake out. And we only got 12 laps to go.
What I'm really anxious to see, this thing still has a trophy attached to it, okay? It has points and a trophy in that starting position for the Daytona 500. I don't think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is content. Neither is Paul Menard. Neither is Martin Truex Jr. The only one's content right now is Kevin Harvick out front.
Well, I think the wild card, you're right. The wild card is at 17 because he's not going to sit there and watch the 4-car win this race. So he's the wild card.
How about Daniel Suarez in the 41? Is he going to school for Sunday, or is he trying to get himself to the front and win this race?
Mike, we saw him do this in the was it in the clash? He was
yes.
Yeah,
he did this exact same move.
Kept diving to the bottom and trying to slide up in front of people. It really never got him very far forward.
Well, it's a really cool move. I like it. It's a little bit risky, but as you can see right there, it doesn't always pay off because he didn't quite get ahead of Bubba Wallace, and now he's almost losing the draft.
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk you take. If you don't have a place to go, I mean, you heard William Byron, you heard Chad tell William, be sure you have a place to go when you make that move.
Exactly.
And he doesn't.
And that's exactly what Chad Knaus was meaning by that, is if you're going to make that move, you better make sure you get clear and get in front of that car you're trying to pass.
So they're going to come around to 10 laps to go. If Ricky Stenhouse in the 17 is going to win this race, what does he have to do?
Well, I think you wait maybe till 2 laps. I don't like waiting until the last lap. Although we've seen this race, a race is won from turn 4 to the start finish. I understand that. But I don't like, in this situation, wait until the last lap. I say wait a couple laps, maybe the 21 will go with. If he does, the 4 will be in trouble.
And what's going to happen, very similar to what we saw in the clash with Jimmy Johnson to get the run. And that means you're going to have to use some brake and back away from Kevin Harvick. Now, here's the difference. So, not trying to take away from Paul Menard. Kevin Harvick is a savvy veteran who's great on restrictor plates. And he's watching his mirror. He's not allowing the 17 of Stenhouse to get a gap, because that's what allows the momentum where you get a big enough run and draft to make a move to the inside or to the outside, because you have enough mile per hour over them.
So likely, if Stenhouse tries to back up to Menard, Harvick spotter Tim Fedewa will alert him, and he'll drag the brake and back up to Stenhouse.
I think the spotter certainly can assist you in this, but in this case, and we saw right there riding on board Ryan Preece with that visor camera, you have to watch the mirror constantly. Even in the corners, Kevin Harvick, in the closing laps, I think it's too early right now. In the closing laps, like Darrell said, 3-4 to go, he's going to be watching his mirror more than he's watching out the front windshield.
But Mike, you know what I love about, look at our top 10. I know those first 4 guys powerhouse, but look at that. Busher is 5th. Newman in the 6 is 6th. Benedetto in the 95 7th. Priest in the 47 8th. Wallace in the 43 9th. And Jimmy Johnson all the way back to 10th place.
Let's go a little further back in the field. Matt.
Mike, tonight was important for William Byron and the 24 team on a number of levels. Chad Knaus wanted William to get in the draft, get some reps, get a good feel for the race car. Also remember, this team did not compete in the clash. Chad Knaus told William Byron a few moments ago, if we do not get a caution, we may pit when we take the white flag. That way it allows his team an opportunity to do a 4-tire stop here on pit road.
And that's what, if you're already locked into the pole, it's a great night to try things. Try something, do some pit stops. Try your pit road speed. Be sure you got it right. A lot of things check off your list in this race.
Yeah, this isn't just a test for the driver and the car. This is a test and some great reps for those pit crew members.
Aside from the drivers trying to win this race, here is the battle for 12th, and Tyler Reddick with the fastest speed of those open cars that must race in. Parker Kligerman and Ryan Truex. Still single file, but not as close together as they were.
Yeah, but you know what? I think Kligerman is pretty sharp drafter. I think he fell back to see if he can make a run on that 31 when they give 1 or 2 to go.
Ryan Truex went back to pick up a little help from Kyle Busch, but Busch moves to the outside to make the pass. The 18 is a lap down.
That was almost another incident.
Oh my gosh.
7 laps to go in this one. The second duel to follow. The pass for the win in this race last year came with 6 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of waiting until the white flag. I know it works sometime, and if there were 40 cars in the race, a bigger field, maybe. But I think when you got a small field like this, make your move and hope you can hold the guy off.
And I don't totally disagree, Darrell, but I will say in this race, I do think drivers are a little more conservative. So I think that usually you don't want to wait till the white flag lap, because if somebody makes a bold and an aggressive move, that could cause a wreck. Where here, I think on the last lap, there's a good chance that these guys are going to be a little more conservative when they make that move.
Darrell, you got a 10-car lead draft. You've got Kevin Harvick and 9 guys who are sitting there saying, Sunday night, if you went to the bottom, you went backwards. If I go to the bottom, how do I go forwards?
if I'm Stenhouse, I'm talking to Paul Menard. I'm trying to get a message to him. Look, 2 laps to go. Whenever you decide you want to go, will you go with me? Can we work together? Can we get by this 4-car? Because it's going to take more than one. You got to have a help. You got to have a helper.
Well, except for restarts, I've not seen Menard in that 21 on the inside lane all week.
Well, think about this too, Mike. Those are all Mustangs. They don't have a big inventory of cars built just yet. So I'm sure spotters and the crew chiefs are saying, hey, man, take care of that car because we don't have a whole lot of cars sitting in the garage right now.
Jeff, if you're Martin Truex, you're in that Toyota, you have no friends up front. What do you do?
Yeah, I think you're just going to kind of have to go along for the ride and hope that those 2 cars in front of you want to win the race and can get a run materialize on Kevin Harvick. When they do, you hope you can capitalize on it. When they get side by side, they start to stall out, might open up a 3rd lane if it looks like a safe move for Martin Truex Jr.
I don't care what happens. I just hope everybody makes it back to the start-finish line and we don't wreck a bunch of cars.
We've torn up enough stuff
I don't want
down
to see
here,
any more torn up cars.
Nighttime race gives us a great opportunity. Put the clear visor on these drivers so we can see their eyes.
But you look at Martin, he's calm, cool, he's just sitting there. I think he knows I can't win from here unless these guys in front of me make a move. So I'm ready if they go.
Now the glare we see from the lights on the inside of the racetrack, the drivers do not see because those lights are angled away from them. You'll see from Ryan Preece's view, no glare there.
I'm just impressed at Ryan Preece how much he's using his mirror. As a rookie, you know, it usually takes some time to learn how to use that mirror at these restrictor plate tracks.
Here's the battle. They've all come back together.
And Kyle Busch is the one that's materialized this.
Yeah.
He's got a faster car, and look what happened. Kligerman, great job by using Kyle Busch as a pick to get that push to go by Reddick.
And look who Kyle is helping, the other Toyota, Kligerman.
Really great point there, Mike.
Little intramural racing there.
I don't think Reddick's real happy about it either. He's like, wait a minute, I had it.
Well, Kligerman's only chance to make the 500 is he has to finish ahead of Reddick's 31 and Truex's 71.
Well, that 31 is faster than the 96. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that 31 go right back around the 96 of Kligerman. It's just a little bit faster. All right, boys.
Well, they haven't made their move yet, Darryl.
We're coming down to it.
I really believe that whatever Stenhouse does here, if he makes a move, which I think he will, I think he's going to do it conservatively. I think he's thinking, if I can't get a big run and if Kevin Harvick blocks it too much, then I'm not going to take the chance to risk it that much.
White flag waves, 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. I wonder if Stenhouse waits till turn 4, because if nobody goes with him, he won't lose so many spots on the way to the finish line.
Well, the only way it's going to happen is if he backs up to that 21. If he doesn't build a big enough gap, he's built a little gap. I just don't think it's enough. And by those cars breaking away, as you can see, you know, the 43 Bubba Wallace and Ryan Preece, they broke away. That kind of jumbled up this run. Now here's the 21 of Menard.
It's Menard. Stenhouse did not go.
Bubba Wallace on the inside taking advantage of that.
Stenhouse side drafts off Menard. And here they come to the line. Kevin Harvick out in front, 2 and 3 wide behind him. Harvick's going to win it. Too close to call for second. I think Stenhouse by an inch or so. And here comes the battle for the transfer spot. Kligerman trying to hang on. Reddick right in his draft with Truex. And Parker Kligerman's in the 500.
Good job, buddy.
Along with Tyler Reddick, who will make the field on his qualifying speed.
I swear it looked like the 17 to 21 were in a dead heat.
Well, I thought the 17 was going, but then he pulled back high, and here came Menard.
Yeah. And I almost wonder if he didn't try to make it a little bit too late halfway down the back straight, where he started to try to back up to the 21 of Menard, and Menard took advantage of that move and went to the inside, side drafted him.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Yeah,
Stenhouse had a look.
But I think Stenhouse was trying to back up to the 21 of Menard to see if he would push him and then get a run possibly off of turn 4 at Kevin Harvick. But Menard outfoxed him a little bit there.
Yeah, he did. But you know what? Kevin Harvick is loving every minute of this. Yeah, you boys get side by side. I'm happy about that.
Look at 95. Matt DiBenedetto is going to come across the line fourth after diving to the inside off turn 4.
I'm glad we got this shot here. I watched this 17-21 or 17 into 21. Look how, I mean, that is almost a dead heat. And there's a 95 of DiBenedetto. What a great job by him.
What a great way to get Speed Week started for Matt DiBenedetto in that new ride.
Spoiler check at the end of pit road, and Kevin Harvick will head for victory lane.
You know what I'm saying?
Up all the way.
Maybe the seat or there's something that's causing him to. Oh no! I tell you what, that's a terrible sight. Oh my God!
You know what Sunday is? The greatest event in stock car racing. To kick off the 2019 NASCAR season, Sunday at 2:30 Eastern, with the pre-race beginning at 1 p.m. and only on Fox. The 61st Daytona 500. Kevin Harvick has his second victory in the duel. Last win came in 2013 with Richard Childress Racing. Matt Yoakum to greet him in victory lane.
Kevin Harvick already racking up points, his second duel win. Were you surprised they didn't try to make a run earlier?
Well, I knew our Busch Beer Ford was fast, and you know, I had Stenhouse and the 21 behind us. I knew that we all wanted a Ford to get to victory lane. I'm just glad we finally came out on the right side of it, and everything's not tore up. Just got to thank all these guys, Busch Beer, Mobile One, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Jimmy John's, Ford, everybody at Haas Automation, Outback Easy Go Fields, everybody who's touched these super speedway cars. They've been great, and switching over to the Mustang is a big deal and a great way to get Speed Weeks not started, but in a good way, head to victory lane. So got to say hey to Keelan. I know he's up watching. We got the 4-leaf clover in there today, bud, so maybe that's the lucky charm.
Earlier this week, Keelan found
And I got to say happy Valentine's Day to my wife.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day, Delana.
Keelan found a 4-leaf clover on the playground, brought it home to his dad, and said, let's put it in the car. It'll bring us good luck. And it has so far. Regan?
Well, a little more eventful evening for Jimmy Johnson than what he wanted right there. Jimmy, talk us through what happened on the back straightaway when you and Kyle Busch had contact.
Yeah, I just got it wrong, clearly. We were 3 wide, and I just kind of misjudged that situation and being 3 wide and trying to tuck in behind Kyle, and unfortunately just turned him around. So sincere apologies to he and his team. I know that's not what they wanted with their 500 car, but I just got it wrong there.
Are these cars, as you're side drafting, pulling each other in more than normal? Is there something different happening out there, or is this just something that was a mistake?
This was a mistake for sure, but the cars with the wider spoiler that we've had on the second half of the year, the side draft is a bit more noticeable and does pull the cars around, but that had nothing to do with this here.
How about your car for the 500? What did you learn about this race car that you can take into Sunday?
Yeah, it was in Q trim, since it was impounded. It was a little looser than I wanted in some situations, but it does have a ton of speed in it. So if we can get some comfort back in it, I think we're going to have ourselves a great ally, Chevrolet, for the race.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Well, the first 8 finishers, 3 Fords, then 2 Toyotas, then 3 Chevrolets. But they came across the line 3 abreast. Winning crew chief Rodney Childers celebrates in victory lane. His driver, Kevin Harvick, has a checkered flag and a trophy and a second row spot in the 500.